to spend a little bit more time now working on files and creating of files. Up to this point in time, I primarily teach the concept of using Nano, N-A-N-O. There are other programs out there that you can use to create files and programs. One of the other ones is Vi. Now, I stopped using Vi a long time ago. I could never remember the commands because I don't do this enough. But basically, this is what happens. This is a Vi notepad here. And you can use this to create open source freely, etc., etc., etc. here. All right. To exit, just you have to type in, and it gives you some ideas here. All right. So in other words, type :Q to, and so forth and everything else. So when I'm working inside of this stuff here, I'm already in Vi right now. I can press enter and stuff like that here to start working with it here. So in other words, I'm just going to go : right? You'll notice at the bottom, Q to quit, and I'm out of here. All right, guys, I've just never used it much. I used it, but I found that there are multiple other easier ways than to use this. So Vi, Pine, Nano, there's lots of these things. But really what I want to focus on is a couple of very simple commands. There's two commands I want to look at here. Right now we're going to use the word touch, T-O-U-C-H. Touch is a command that basically will create a file for you. Here I am, PWD. There's Bill. Okay? So now let's do some experimentation here. Inside Bill, we know I have all these files. There's fruit, there's this and everything else. I'm going to create a file called vegetables now. I'll call it veggies. So if I go touch veggies and I press enter, right? I'll go ls-l. You will notice that at the very bottom there is a file that Bill created with default permissions called veggies. The 0 means just before the date, this is nothing in it. Okay. So if I go nano, veggies, just open the file up, you'll notice there's nothing in there. Okay. Because it says at the very top, file name, veggies. All right. I'm just going to exit. No changes. Didn't do anything. No worry about it. Okay. Clear my screen here. And again, I'm just going to keep doing this LSSL just to basically give you a reminder where I am here or what's available. Let's try this. I'm going to go touch veggies. Okay. And I put a space afterwards. And I'm going to call this potato. You can spell it however you want to. I press enter. Watch what happens. Okay. Now let's go ls-l. And you still see the word veggies. But look what happened right afterwards. Beside it, there's veggies. And then there is potato. So as soon as I did that, like when I typed in the command touch veggies potato, touch basically recreated the folder or file called veggies and it created a new one called potato. All right. I don't want that. Remove potato. ls-l, and you'll notice it's gone. Okay. I'm going to clear my screen. So let's try something else. I've got the file created in Touch. I'm going to leave that alone for a second here. Touch will create a file. There is another file called cat, and that's basically concatenate. All right. At least that's the way I've always looked at it here, cat. Right. And you got the concept of concatenate. You will notice on the right hand side here it says cat file to read or create the contents of a file. So let's try that. Okay. Let's go cat, and I'm going to call this veggies 2 because I already got veggies. I'll call this veggies 2. I press enter. Cat cannot open or stuff or files or directory here. All right. So right now, just using the command cat veggies, it doesn't work. However, normally cat veggies would display, the word cat would display the contents of a file. I'm not thinking about creating a file. let me do this. Can I do this? Cat, and I put in the redirection tool. All right. And now I call this veggies2. Oops, I guess I should spell it right. Veggies2. And by the way, veggies isn't spelled right to start with, but that's okay. Now I press enter. All right. And now you see this and say, hey, my system technically is hung up. All right. Because it's trying to do something that doesn't exist. Okay. Now let me just go Control C to break this off here. So let's look at this. So you see these commands that I gave you here? The question is, I gotta find my question mark. There it is. Did this create a file at all or not? Question mark. When I use cat to write to file 1, or like in my situation was veggies, did it create a file? And then of course there's some other ones here, but I'm going to ignore this for a second here. All right. Usually what happens is cat goes into a file. And again, some systems will create a file, but you notice in Solaris it didn't do that. But that was me as Bill. Let's try that exact same concept, the same command, as root. See what happens. Oops. I wasn't inside my thing here. SU root. Password. Okay. Oh, I made a mistake here. All right. There it is. Took me a second here to get out of that. All right. SU root. And I did a typing mistake here. So now I'm in root. Okay. Let's go where we are. We're still in Bill's folder here. But everything that I create now is root, is going to be owned by root. Is the owner root. So let's now do cat. And let's call this veggies2. All right. Now let me go ls-l. And you'll notice this time veggies2 created. So when I asked the question 2 minutes ago, right, saying this is the cat command, where's my mouse? Here it is, okay? To use cat, even though Bill was in their home directory, we can call this a root tool, or root command. All right, creates a file. And then this root command, all right, and I'm just going to put some space here just to make it a little easier here, technically. So in other words, we now, this, that I asked a question before, did it work? Yes, it is a command, but it has to be done by root users. So let's take that veggies2 file that I just created. I'm going to go cat. Oops. Let me just, I go cat. Okay. And I'm going to go with the greater than, because the file is already created. Excuse me. All right. Because it already did it. I didn't have to put that into this stuff here. So let me now go into this and say cat veggies, right? Well, no, I don't have to put that. I can put cat veggies2 in here. Well, eventually I will get the spelling right. Redirect potato. So before I go and explain what I just did, let's analyze this. Cat basically will create a file called veggies. We know that. It did. It worked. And then we redirect the word potato. And concept is we're redirecting the word potato into the file called veggies. I press enter. Okay. Let's now go ls-l. You'll notice right now there is a folder So when I use the word cat veggies, it created veggies or veggies 2 or veggies 1, whichever one. As a matter of fact, I wrote one file, veggies. And then I did the greater than or the redirect, and it created potato for me. All right, so there it is. Cat not only does that, but cat also created a file with that. And even though I was thinking now, okay, should I be able to redirect the word potato into cat, it didn't do it that way here. All right. So now let's try this next command here. Oh, by the way, I'm going to remove potato. Oops, again, I keep forgetting where I am with the mouse. RM potato. ls-l just to make sure that it's gone. Good, it's gone. Clear screen. Now let's take this. If I want to add a file into this, okay, can I do this? Cat. I take the word potato and I want to redirect it or put it into double redirects, double hash, whatever, no, greater thans or less thans, whatever it is, into the file called veggies2. What happens now? Cannot open potato. So cat poses a problem. Usually cat, you could add words to it and everything else. I'll give you another command that's not even written out there. The word echo. Echo potato. Veggies2. So far, adding text to a file for cat hasn't worked for me in Solaris. Can work in other programs, but here you notice it doesn't. Well, no error message this time. What do you got? ls-l, and you'll notice in the line of veggies2, there is some information, because that used to be 0, now has a 7 in there. Okay, so let's say that's the equivalent of 7 bits. Potato had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, plus there's probably something else that gets added to it or something in there, with the return character or whatever it is there. Let's go nano. Veggies2. Potato is in. I echoed the word potato into it. I wrote a word into it. Okay. Echo is basically cross-platform concept here. Now, can I type the word cat veggies2? And what will it happen? Now when I type cat, it shows the contents of the file. So you may ask yourself, okay, wait a minute. What command should I use to do what? Well, two things. A, I could use touch to create a brand new file, but it'll have no content in it. I could use cat to create a file. All right? But basically, if I want to write a file into anything, the command that I always use, and guys, some of you guys are going to have different commands, is using the word echo. Oops, going into whatever the file. All right? And when I put echo, I put the data, and I'm going to put data, string, whatever word you want to use here, that is being redirected. Instead of going to the screen, because normally if I do this, echo string, oops, I'm not inside of this thing here, sorry. Again, if I click here and I go echo string, the word string just appears on my screen. That's what echo does. But instead of writing it to my monitor or my display, I'm just saying write it to, redirect it to the file. Okay? So let's do this. Echo. And instead of the word potato, now let's put tomato. Or tomato, however you pronounce it. Okay? Now I said echo to tomato. Wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. What did I just do? You ask yourself, echo to tomato. Let's go ls, see what happens. Right? Echo created another file for me. It's called tomato. All right? So not only does touch create a file, does cat create a file, but echo also created a file. It's now called tomato. And if I go nano or I go cat, tomato, there's nothing in it. It's a blank line. I'm going to remove tomato. Okay, I'm going to stop here for a second. I've done a lot of things here, so some of you guys are going to get confused. What did I just do? Well, basically, guys, I've went through a whole series of different processes, and please watch this a couple of times. I used touch to create a file. Excuse me, I have to sneeze. I used cat to create a file. I used echo to create a file. All three of them will create files. I used echo to redirect data into a file. So what I should command when it says echo data, I should be doing this. Echo the word tomato, and I'm going to redirect it. Okay, and notice, please pay attention. I'm double this, double whatever. And I'm going into veggies 2. No error message, but I want to do ls-l. You'll notice that the size of veggies has gone from 7 to 14. There's the last line there. There's the last line there. Nano, veggies 2. Oh, I spelt that wrong. That's why it won't work. Nano. Has 2 words in it. So what I did is I put the word potato into veggies 2. I put tomato into veggies 2. All right, and because I use the double greater than signs, it puts it into a second line. What if I do this? Echo a single veggies 2. I got to be very careful here. I want to put lowercase. Now let me do ls-l. And now when you look at veggies 2, the numbers 7 and 14 have disappeared. It's now number 1. Cat to show me the contents of veggies 2. Right? Oops. Mistake. It gives you a blank line. Guys, people, when you do something like this, all right, doubles will add content to a new line. If you use echo, all right, and then go greater than to the file name, it overwrites any existing file and starts it from scratch. In other words, if I go and I say whatever, the single greater than basically is used in the creation of a file. So by using it here, I overwrite the file. Now I've covered a lot of things here that I want you to be again. So let me just reiterate. I want to create a file. I use touch. Touch will create a file. Cat will create a file. Echo will create a file. All right? Echo will put data into a file. Okay? Depending on what operation you have, cat will also put information into a file, depending on the operating system here. Okay? Cat will also display data, like nano. Okay? It will display data. So these three concepts of being able to create a file, being able to add data file, right? The more you work with it, the more comfortable you're going to be able to work, to be able to understand. All right, what command line do I use to create a file? What command line do I add to use to write data to files? So let me do this. I'm going to do one more. I'm going to do something for you. Echo. Oops, I'm not inside this stuff here, so I better do this. I'm going to add data echo. Okay, and I'm going to put potato. All right, to veggies 2. Now I like to put spaces in here. Of course, it always helps if I learn to spell right. Naturally, my keyboarding skills are poor. There's potato. I'm now going to add kumquat. Is kumquat a vegetable? Now it's called carrot. Let's now put tomato. Oh, people will argue tomato is not a carrot. It's called radish. Okay. And we'll put corn. Now, guys, I put all this stuff here. I did this individually. Let's now do cat to view the files. And it's really interesting because people will sit back and say, well, wait a minute, cat can create a file, but the file is already created. And in this situation, cat will show the files. So I would use three things, depending on how you are mindset-wise. Even though all these things can work on it, do like this. Use touch to create a file. Use echo to add a file, add data to the file. Use cat to view the files. Those are the three simplest ways to work on here. So again, let me just put it right over here. I'm just going to extend this here. So this is a recommendation for those until you get very comfortable using this here. Right? Use touch to create a file. Use echo to put data into a file. Use cat to view contents of a file. Because if you use those three as a basis, it'll work everywhere. If you're trying to say, can I use concatenate or cat to put this stuff into here or do that, that's another story. All right. Now, I am going to try one more thing for you here is this. Right? This last line that okay, cat file 1 to file 2. Right? I'm going to do one more thing. Cat, and I'm going to go veggies 2 and I'm going to redirect it to just veggies. No other options, no other switches. Look what happens. All right, ls-l shows me that both veggies and veggies 2 have 27 bits in them. 27 characters. 20, that's the size here. So let me clear this. Let's do that again. ls-l, and let's just type in the word cat to view. I know if I go cat veggies 2, because there's data already in it, it's not going to create a new file. There's potato, carrot, and so forth. Please note that the first blank line in veggies, when I did some echoing or I did that writing here, it put a blank line in there. I can go in there and I can edit it anyways later on. Let's do that. The very same command to veggies. This is the other file. And what it did, what that cat command that I did do, cat file 1 to file 2, cat veggies 2 to veggies. All right? So an example that I'm going to put here was the command that I used was cat veggies 2 to send over to the file called veggies. That's the command that I used here. And what it did is it literally copied the files. All right? Now, can you use MV? Can you use copy CP? Yeah, these are all commands, but there's lots of other commands that are available. This is a command that you could use to help you and do some fast things as an administrator here. Now remember this concept. I promote the use of command lines mainly for one reason. I like using command lines because Linux Unix by nature was created that you be able to connect to your machine remotely. So you don't have to be here. The transference of data from my laptop or my computer remotely to a Unix Linux server, I am just using text. It does not take as much space, bandwidth, or processing power to edit as you would in graphic user interface. So using the concept that I'm stuck here in my house during a snowstorm, a flood, pandemic, whatever the scenario is, and providing I have permissions to connect to a server someplace else at a business, I could connect in and I could do my administration remotely. That is why command lines and these little characters, like cat and anything that keeps low bandwidth, low size down, it is super, super important. Right? 3 files: cat, touch, echo. Helps you manipulate, find data, look at data, and use this in conjunction with find and grep. You could basically almost find everything you need to find, files to create, files to modify in your network as an administrator.